Hey guys, welcome to Nifty World. I'm Bex, and in today's video, I'm going to be speaking to the founders of Boho Bones, an NFT with a difference. We're going to be talking all about how you can make your NFT stand out, what the processes are to do that organically, and how that can really help benefit not just you, but also your community too. So stay tuned. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and of course, follow me on Twitter if you're wanting to ask any questions whatsoever. I'm here to help. But for now, let's dive right in. So joining me now is both Andy and Blake, who Andy is the founder of Boho Bones and Blake is the operations guru behind all of it. So thanks guys for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure. Now, I obviously found you guys through my last video, which was kind of searching through Rarible and like finding out like how to, find out kind of what good NFTs there are to get. And I used you guys as a really good example because you stood out to me, right? And I was looking forward to the drop and, there's loads of things that were great about it. So we then connected and I invited you guys to actually let's do more of an in-depth discussion because it's a really interesting NFT. And today is all about how to make an NFT that stands out. And what really stood out to me, and I said it on the video straight away, was the fact that there's an audio-based element to what your NFT is doing, which for me is like, where's this come from? How does this work? You're going to explain that to me, obviously, today, which
Absolutely.
is... But let's go back to basics of what it is that got you guys going in the NFT world, how your journey's been, and then we'll look into the kind of the mechanics of what you guys think it takes to then make your NFT stand out from the crowd. Because we know that there are so many NFTs on the market, and we're not just talking about like now this whole month that's just gone has been nuts for the world of NFTs. It's kind of gone from zero to hero like you wouldn't believe. So it's really interesting when the market is quite saturated, how you guys are gonna kind of battle all of that and combat that. So let's go back to the beginning, because you guys are also working on swimchain.io, which is a blockchain powered by green energy and community, which sounds amazing in itself, but that is the launch or the spring pad for you guys to have then created your first NFT, isn't it?
Yeah, so I mean, we took this idea of when we're still building out our blockchain, but it's fully powered by solar and wind, and not only will we be powering our own internal systems and blockchain, we will be powering local communities with excess power. So that was the idea of giving back and then getting that, give a little love, get a little love. Create community around the blockchain and that's positive for local communities and surrounding areas. And we wanted to take that ethos into the NFT space, because I think we've seen some incredible art, and then we've also seen the space diluted a little bit by some of these what you call rug pulls, where you see they drop their 10,000 collection, they might have a roadmap, they execute on none of it, it all vanishes in smoke, and those who sold you the NFT walk away and take the money. And that's what we didn't want to do. And
that makes it quite hard for a buyer to know who to trust as well.
Exactly. I got burnt. Have you been burnt? I've been burnt.
Yeah, I've been burnt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sucks. And that feeling sucks. And I think, we wanted to, give powers back to the creators, not just the artwork creators, but the community. There's a community full of creators, and whether they're, artists, musicians, whether they're designers or whether they're comedians, it doesn't matter. We just wanted to create this creator economy where people could start collaborating and not just have a rug pulled on them, rather actually generate profits from the assets. So we had to think, how can we do this? And we thought, look, we can add music to it, a really incredible selection of different style loops and beats that go anywhere from 20 seconds to 30 seconds. They're all 16 bars, but it just depends on what sort of tempo. And we give token holders not just the access to those loop libraries, but the full access to monetize them, to release songs off. And the only thing we ask is if they go making a fortune above 25k US dollars, that they give 20% of those royalties not back to us, but back to we've got a community wallet set up to give out scholarships, grants to upcoming artists, musicians, entertainers, developers, programmers. I mean, it's really, and it's the kind of community where that, the token holders can vote on who we give these grants to as well. So, it's empowering the community. It's a creator economy. And, I think it's just an element that hasn't been done before. And we've had to navigate some new seas. And, the other day we couldn't, there's nowhere on OpenSea to just download your MP4 so people can go and play them on Twitter and that sort of thing. So some people were screen sharing them to screen capture. But I mean, we've got a great team. We developed a script, and within 24 hours, you could download the video from the Discord, click our script, and takes you to a webpage you can download. So
yeah,
I think, we've been adapting to a new marketplace and learning a lot as well. But we're here to stay. People can personally reach out to us, via our emails. It's not like this secretive little rug pull or anything like that we've seen so much. And it to me, it's such a great space and opportunity to give power back to the creators.
Yeah. And I think with that, actually, about just clarifying your authenticity as a brand, because you've got the pure artists who create maybe a one-off or whatever in the NFT space, and then you kind of have people like yourselves who create a brand which has the extensions and moves into the metaverse and does all these kind of different things. As a brand, you have to give that reassurance to your audience, right? And one of the things that I love about doing these videos and these interviews with you guys is suddenly in this world of anonymity in NFTs, we get to see the founder and we get to see the team behind it. And that for me gives absolute reassurance of, who you guys are and what you're going to be doing. And I hope that, when this goes out, your community will see that as well, which will even more kind of build all of that excitement around Boho Bones. But the thing that stood out to me was the artwork first and foremost, and it's got to be the visual, hasn't it? So just on looking at that very quickly, what was the idea behind the actual artwork itself? How have you guys generated that? Where has that come from? And is that going to be a staple for the future, or is it going to evolve and change, like different music, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think the artwork really speaks to really the vision of not just doing what everyone else is doing, and especially with respect to the community building aspect as well. Like we really did a lot of homework and research on, something original, and it doesn't just start with the artwork. It also goes with the original score that Andy is behind. I mean, he's an award-winning producer, has worked on several major projects for major studios. And he has an incredible ear and eye for talent. And so these were all original pieces of score that were included with samples of them through the NFT that you can actually hear, along with live backgrounds. So it's not just a static JPEG. These are actually MP4s. And this is something that really hasn't been done before. And Andy mentioned earlier too, that, we are so ahead of things that the current ecosystems that do exist aren't even prepared for them yet. Like if you look at OpenSea, it doesn't even allow you to save, like for fun, the file itself. Like, you want to be able to share it. You want to be able to tweet it out. You want to show your friends what you got. It's really difficult to do that. So we had to come up with our own solution to download that through our Discord server. And it works. Another thing that we're also ahead on too is Rarity Sniper, which is another plugin that you can use to determine the different attributes of each NFT, and what's the percentage of certain characteristics and how rare that particular NFT is. And if you look at Rarity Sniper, it generally generates the score of where your NFT lands. But for us, it doesn't generate any sort of picture because ours are videos. They're not set up for that yet. Yeah. So we have to contact and work with them, and we're almost now going to have that capability. So the preview is there along with the data that comes along with it. But it just goes to show you that this space is so new and so cutting edge that we wanted to not just be like everyone else. Our focus wasn't on selling out within minutes or hours and then disappearing into the ether. It's really about a slow burn and slowly gravitating towards having a real community. Yeah. And you can't just do that overnight. If people are wanting to get in for just the money, then that's not us.
Yeah. Yeah. So when did you guys start your community? Because I love the idea of it being a slow burner, because for me, I prefer that, because I hate the mint rush. Like,
Yeah.
I can never win, right? And you know, you think this is an amazing floor price, let's get in, and then it's like it sells out in like 10 minutes. And I was like, I didn't even get a chance. The gas is through the roof. Whereas actually taking the time to get to know the developers, get to ask questions, get to understand, find out what those possible rare elements are so I can go and search for them and come back, feels a lot more like a fair playing ground to be in as part of a community. And for me, that's much more appealing. So you've obviously decided to take that instead of building up to a big launch and then a massive, you know, drop that sells out in minutes. What was the thought process behind that? And when did you guys, even further back, when did you guys get together and go, you know what, NFTs are the right thing to do?
So I think in terms of all of that, I think it was about 3, and I'll try and answer all those questions.
Sorry, there was a few.
No, but in terms of that, you know, I think it was about 4 or 5 months ago that we made sort of the commitment to really launch this project. So for us, it's not, you know, some of these guys, you know, you can whip out a script for you know, an NFT 721 in a night. That's not an issue. But you know, like you're talking about, for the art caught your eye. I mean, that's what we wanted to pick, this great team. You know, it's like Danny Ocean selecting Ocean's 11, I think Blake said the other day, but it's, you know, the Boho 6, and it was, you know, selecting all the unique talents, right? You know, not, you can't have 6 developers or, you know, a team overcrowded on certain talents. So you know, the first thing was art. So I had a very good friend of mine and famous talented artist out of New York City, Ari Lankin, who was, you know, I'd just seen behind a paintbrush for 12 years, but he'd finally, NFTs grabbed him so much that, you know, he was starting to, you know, digitize, and he was so excited about the space, and his artwork's fantastic. So I gave him a call, and we were chatting at the time anyway, because we were just, you know, looking at stuff like Bored Apes and just going, wow, that's really cool, you know.
Yeah. So he got the idea at that early stage of how big NFT art could be. He was on board, understood it.
Yeah. So I mean, we were, you know, there at the Apes Drop and that sort of thing, and unfortunately don't still have one, but
none of us do.
Maybe I'll get another one soon. Who knows if I can afford it? But they're through the roof now. But I mean, he still holds his. So I mean, I first and foremost fell in love with the art project. Obviously, then everyone gets caught up a bit into like the you know, chasing the golden egg, trying to find the projects that are just they can quickly profit off. But that was never the goal for us. I think I fell in love with NFTs for the art and the community that came behind it. And I think, you know, once Ari said, "Yep, let's do this," you know, I think it was then, okay, we've got to find the best contract developer out there. I already was working with Jackson Gilmore on Swim, who's just an incredible front-end web designer and UX experience guy. So, I mean, I knew that we had to have him on the team. Blake, you know, keeps all the trains running on time, and just, you know, there's so many moving pieces that, you know, I knew we had to have Blake, and then we got Jared and Dan on development, who I just, you know, I'd interviewed and could trust, and they were answering all the right questions in the right ways. And you know, in terms of moving pieces in contracts and security, and I mean, there's a lot of things that can go wrong there. So it's the biggest thing is you know, developing this team, but then having you've got to have the ability to trust everyone. And I think that comes over time, and just getting to know each other. And you know, I knew a lot of the team previously, but I think very early on we saw we had aligned intentions of, you know, this isn't a rug pull or a shill. We're going to create something new, something cool. We'll have to take risks along the way, but you know, we paused what we were sort of building out some DeFi products for Swim at the time, and sort of the finishing touches on the chain to really pivot to the NFT community, like, and commit to it back then, 4 or 5 months ago, to get this project launched and off the ground, you know, and launch this community creator model. Because we saw so much opportunity on the space, and Ari just took his time developing this artwork, these assets, right? I mean, there's there's over 300 art assets that are then put through an algorithm to make your boho.
So with that, right, with Ari doing the artwork, and you talked about that both of you had watched the apes, you know, that sort of the initial drop and everything. They're kind of like the gold standard for community, right? That's what everyone like wants to recreate, which is like almost like being in an exclusive members club. Like if I was to walk down the street and notice that someone else is wearing a Bored Apes t-shirt or something like that, I'd be like, hey, I know what you're talking about. We're in like some secret society. It's a bit, we're so early. So that, I assume that is a big inspiration for you guys, starting out with that. And funnily enough, really hilarious, I tweeted about this today actually, was that I've invested in another great community, which you may have seen me do videos with, is Junkyard Dogs. And my hairdresser, right, her husband, never met them before in my life till today, her husband, who lives 5 minutes around the corner from me, she was like, my husband's really into NFTs. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And he said, yeah, he's bought this thing called Junkyard Dogs. And I was like, what? Of all the places in the world, of all the few NFTs that are out there, this guy 5 minutes around the corner from me. So now we're meeting up for a coffee. So it's amazing how NFTs are already like bringing people together. And that's the big thing about building a strong community, is we then contact each other on Discord, had a laugh about this scenario, and we're like, hey, let's help each other learn, you know, do and give each other tips and things, like to see if we what better, like, you know, new investments we're making. And that's kind of the power of the community. And you know, I noticed that on the Boho Bones, you guys have this kind of real camaraderie, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and some of it we don't even like. We found out about some of these little niche groups on our podcast. We had one of the guys, Cosimo, who has been you know, he's helping build out some channels. He's one of our early adopters and followers. He's in Mexico. We had him on the podcast, and there's even a subgroup called the Brohos that, I mean, that we're finding out about, and we have a good laugh about it. I mean, it's great. You know, it's creating a community. We haven't bought Twitter followers or anything like that. Every one of them is a genuine lover, and you can see that crossover from our numbers from the Twitter into the Discord. I mean, a lot of these shill pump and dump projects will, you know, buy numbers and, you know, try and buy out floors. We saw that with the seven, not the floors, try and buy out thousands of mint tokens and all that sort of thing, which we saw with the sevens yesterday. But at the end of the day, we didn't want that. We wanted a real community of real people, real engagement, and also giving them, you know, the creator economy model, where here's the assets as well, guys. You know, we're dropping a producer pack this Friday that will have loads of cool samples and beats and that sort of thing that they can release, they can monetize, they can put it on Spotify. You know,
it's like a sneak peek ahead of the actual release of all of the tracks, which unlocks after 20% essentially are sold according to our roadmap. And you know, along those lines too, you were mentioning, we really wanted to have something that was different, that really did stand out, that wasn't sort of inspired by whatever that's already out there. And if you look at, you know, certainly the success of Bored Ape Yacht Club is phenomenal. But you know, there's predecessors to that. I mean, you would be foolish to not think so. You know, one of the best artists that has stylized that genre is none other than, you know, England's own Jamie Hewlett, right? Who is a co-creator of the Gorillas. He's one of the best animator, designer, illustrators of that modern look today.
Yeah.
And so
it's the first thing I thought when I saw Bored Apes. Baby Ape, the clothing company, right? I mean, there's so many apes that have come before. So it's all kind of, you know, a sort of a wink and a nod from inspired by, you could say. So yeah, I totally agree with you, Andy. I mean, that's what we were thinking. Like when we first saw it, we we're like, okay, I see this. It's really special. But still, I mean, you see this in a lot of NFT projects, right? You know, there's many, but we won't go down the list. But we really wanted to do something that was different, and we really wanted to do something that showed that really the story behind the bones themselves. And I think that story is what's really important, because oftentimes you just don't have that in these type of projects. So that's what I think we really set out to do. And I think just to jump in, I think without, you know, blowing the horn too hard, I think we've really got an opportunity here to change the music industry, to change the model. I mean, I don't think we'll be the first, and I don't think we'll be the last, but I think, you know, there's an opportunity here to give rights and royalties back to creators, or co-share and create community. I mean, I know I'll be talking to managers, you know, in LA that I know and have met throughout my career, and trying to see what artists they have that you know, want to jump on one of these tracks, and then, you know, you own that token with that you know, artist on it, depending on caliber or level. I mean, you know, imagine what happens then, and then you can start having, you know, creators share with labels and artists. I mean, it's just, it can be endless. But I think, you know, for now we're just focusing on a creator economy where we're just going to feed royalty-free assets, but they're only royalty-free for token holders, the community, to be able to go and monetize and then give back to our community. I mean, we really want to focus on giving out as many you know, scholarships and grants as we can to artists and musicians and entertainers, and, you know, whoever's really bringing that value back into the community and empowering it as well.
Because that's what I think is really interesting. Like, what, you know, apart from the artwork, is when I read your roadmap, and the idea is that it struck me that what I'm loving about NFTs at the moment is the fact that it is feeding the creator economy in its like in its format, really. Because, you know, struggling artists who have never been able to get seen by a gallery would never have their art put there, and even if they did, would never earn that on sale commission, right? Have now got the power to make the money that they've scrimped and saved for, and are earning, as they should, the right, you know, for the right kind of art, the right kind of money. And what I think is so interesting about you guys is that you're taking that model and moving it to the world of music and audio, and redefining that creative economy again. And I think it's fascinating that that's what you're going to do. And the thing is that, you know, you're saying, you know, it's still early. Like, we all know how early it is in the NFT world, but, you know, an hour is like a day, a week is like a month. It's moving so fast. So do you guys find it, I don't know, do you find it really daunting, or is it exciting you, or is it overwhelming? How is this feeling?
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, a day can be 3 years in this space, but look, I find it exciting, not daunting. And I think, you know, we've got a pretty clear direction of where we want to go with this, you know, as we sell more and more tokens. I mean, you can expect to see a Boho stage in real life events at music festivals, and have, you know, our top community and remixers be remixing at places like Coachella, if we can get some of those partnerships done. I mean, we're thinking not just Metaverse and buying land there, but, you know, the cross platform from real life to Metaverse. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it'd be great to, you know, that you see those Bored Ape community meetups and all that sort of thing. And, you know, they're just, it's just a bunch of people supporting each other, trying to, you know, really just grow together. And we want to do that with giving rights back to creators and empowering them along the way. And, you know, and opening it up to the live aspect of the music industry as well, taking it to, you know, doing partnerships with, some of the bigger festivals. If you're watching, call me.
Absolutely, yeah. And also on that, I mean, obviously in the last year or so, the live music industry, that's been hit so hard because of the pandemic. This could really pump so much more currency back into that. Was this something like maybe back in 2020, during the height of it, you're going, what the hell can we do? Like, how are we ever going to recover? And it was like waiting for to find that option or element, or, you know, before NFTs were so obvious to be the gateway for you. Was it that you were searching for to kind of help that?
I think everyone was searching for a little something then. I mean, I was in terms of you know, where our head was at, we were, you know, in the pandemic looking into NFTs with excitement, but not you know, not necessarily looking to jump right into them then. You know, we're still very focused on building out our green ecosystem. So I mean, that's still in the works. We've still got part of the team working on that. We've just got also just, you know, a few musicians and artists who are just so passionate about that space on our team as well, on that swim team, that then transferred across to start working on the Boho stuff for a couple of months. And some of them will stay on that full time as we roll out the roadmap. Those who are passionate about it, that's up to them. Who wants to stay, and we've started employing more people now that it's growing the Boho side of things as well. So we're bringing people onto that team, and I think, you know, it's one of those things, we want this to go on for, you know, 10, 20, 30 years, you know, however long they'll have it. So I think it's, you know, to get the broader word of NFTs and all that, the word about NFTs out to the broader community, it's going to some of these festivals and DJing and you know, getting live performances, and some of that will come from, I think, some of the remix competitions we'll see huge talent jump on there, and look, then it's there's only, you know, more people that can replicate this model potentially, but I think there's plenty of room for more in the space. I mean, I think it's, you know, it is early days, and I think the more we can empower creators and communities without pulling rugs on them, the better.
Yeah.
And that we've set, I mean, I've been burned in the space a couple of times, you know, thinking I'm buying into a roadmap, and you know, and they disappear, and I've just got a JPEG that's just dropped 10,000% in value. So for them, but I mean, yeah, we just wanted to really have the creator model that wasn't going to be a rug pull. We're here to stay. You know, we're here to build each other up, not to disappear. And you know, we're excited.
How do you guys really reassure your community of that? Because, you know, what you'd like to think is that you read the roadmap and it's true, but it's so clearly that there are these rug pullers out there. So what is it to, you know, again, to make you guys stand out? What is it that to do above and beyond to do that? Is it just the communication in the Discord and the constant communication, or is there something else that are you there's lots of, you know, airdrops, giveaways, you know, just there's things like that kind of keep the sentiment of an NFT excitable for a community? What is it that you guys think is the right route to go down on that?
I mean, I think we learn on that every day. Just, yeah. We have a call every morning to discuss, you know, how we're going to get the messaging across to the community, how we're going to keep it consistent, how we're going to deal with ruffled feathers, because we do see it's such a new space, and some people are, you know, we call them moon boys, because they just want your token to go to $10,000 immediately. But I mean, good things take time, and we're happy to really build stuff into the roadmap. So we try and keep the excitement through airdrops, through giveaways, through we'll be announcing a remix competition this Friday with a special loot pack that's accessible to token holders. So I mean, it's really just trying to keep the message consistent, not disappearing for a day and they go, where did these guys go? And then starting to execute on some of the stuff. You know, we're looking for space to buy non-stop in the metaverse, trying to find the right space, the right you know, who do we start with, Sandbox to Centraland, just really getting down to the finer details of that. So then, you know, we announce that we prove, you know, we can prove it because we've got obviously the contract, and we can attach that to the community wallet. So I think, you know, it's actually, you know, walking the talk. You know, it's here we are. This is a drop here. This is a drop here. This is a drop here, and just really keeping that engagement up, because you see some of these drops and they've got a roadmap, and by the time you get to part one on the roadmap, you know, that you've never heard from them again. The money's gone from the wallet, and and that's so I think it's just walking the talk, continually engaging with the community, having a conversation with the team every morning or afternoon to figure out where we can get better at these things, because it's a new space. We're all out here discovering and learning, and I think, you know, it's important for us as a team to regroup daily.
And I think,
and just talk about it.
I think with that as well is, like, you know, it is, I call it the Wild West. I think it is. You know, there's no regulation on this. And I also think that what's nice to hear is that you are collecting and learning it as an individual as well as like as a team. So my motto is that, you know, obviously I spend only as much as I'm willing to lose, and I'd always encourage people to just do that as well. Like, don't go mental about it, but also you burn and you learn, right? So it's all a learning process, and that's what I've definitely felt, is that I've learned so much by the NFTs that haven't quite worked out. And, you know, that means that next time when I'm searching, i.e. when I started searching and found you guys, I was like, brilliant, I found something that looks interesting, but I'm not going to rush. I want to see how this does over time. And that's why I think your strategy will appeal to a lot more people than this buildup of hype. A drop that, you know, whilst we're in the Wild West, if a drop doesn't go right, and we talked earlier about the sevens, you know, there was a big controversy over the sevens, the faith in the community can drop as well, right? And then suddenly your NFT becomes much more devalued as a result. So I think, you know, again, in order to stand out, longevity is key. Having that team behind you, from what I can understand from you guys, is really key. A devoted team. You're all in, from what I can, you know, gather. Yeah. And, you know, and making sure that that is the slow burn. I think in the long run, the slow burn is going to outweigh the hype drops. And I think,
believe so too.
Yeah. And that's why I think that you guys are picking out a really clever strategy to move forward on that I'm not seeing from a lot of other big hyped up NFTs at the moment. So it's very refreshing.
Well, the accessibility, thank you. It's true. I mean, and the authenticity is really key. I mean, Andy has personally airdropped to some of our most incredible fans, you know, out of his own wallet, you know, and taken on those costs personally. And I think that accessibility, just being, you know, you're reachable by Twitter, and you know who, like, just doing this interview with you, like, it shows that, and we're who we are. We're definitely, it's legitimate, and having that is something you just don't see a lot in this space. People like to hide behind avatars and usernames, etc., and maybe no one will ever know who they are. And you know, we looked at the fallout from this. You're absolutely right about sevens. You can see all of the tweets that have gone out that have just been so negative. There's also been one that has been very closely trying to model our look and feel, and they sold out, but they also are having a terrible time with their contract, and telling their you know, owners to exchange their tokens and at cost of gas. And it's just, it can be a nightmare if you don't do it right, and you're just focused on right out of the gate, everything goes. Right. It's kind of sloppy, and that's something that, and careless, we're definitely trying to stay away from.
And that, I think that's another way you can look at a good project. If they're having issues like you're not getting a reveal of your token for a week or 2 weeks, you know, they haven't put a lot of time into their contract. They've got security issues. I mean, if you look at our drops, you know, we're doing, you know, 12 to 24 hour reveal after mint, you know, to ensure security, and people are, you know, sometimes able to view their token even sooner. So, I mean, our turnaround time is fast and secure, and I trust the team just to do anything at the moment. Yeah. You know, they could build me an airplane and I'll jump in it.
That's a choice that you've made to do the reveal 24 hours after. Doesn't that make more of a fair playing field as well? Because, like, people will just snipe in, you know, the rare traits, but actually you might have just, it's like picking a blindsided card out of a pack, right? And you might end up with an ace at the end of it. And it just, I love that strategy, and that's what excited me about the sevens, actually, because I was like, I'm in the lottery and I could win something that could change my life if I could get it. But that, I think, again, in terms of, this is what I think a lot of other NFT creators will learn, is that these kind of strategies are the ones that are paving the way for what the long-term right way of doing things is going to be. It's got to be about fairness, because one of the comments that someone tweeted to me on Twitter after the sevens drop was, the rich get richer, right? Because the gas goes through the roof, and the only people that can afford that are going to be the ones that can afford that gas. And you know, and the profit margins, if you're going to flip it, are going to be less than what you'd expected, and you're nowhere near the mint price. So it's kind of, suddenly the little guy is missing out again, and we're kind of coming back to that horrible feeling of, you know, it's not a fair playing field. And I think what you guys are doing, and, you know, that was all with best intentions from the sevens, but what you guys are doing that, but with a slow burn, is going to be is such a better way to release an NFT.
Yeah, I think so. And it just, you know, there's so much fun stuff we can do in terms of then giving, you know, remix competitions. We can always pause the contract, you know, as well, if we wanted to, in terms of like numbers of holders, if we felt that, you know, that the community was wanting that. But I mean, we'll vote on that as a community in the Discord. I mean, you know, I think everyone wants to see this grow and succeed, and we're happy to take time with it and work with the right people and create the right partnerships. And Obviously we don't want the floor falling to, you know, not point something, not something, but I don't think it will. I think, you know, we've built that faith and trust in our community, and we stick to our timelines, and we're really transparent. I think that's a huge key as well, is you know, people can message me on Twitter, or, you know, they can catch me in the Discord. I live down at Venice Beach. I walk along the beach every day.
People will be knocking
Come
on your
find
door.
me.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you know, we're not doing a rug pull or a shill. So I'm not, you know, we're not worried about, you know, upsetting people. We're here to create a growth community and a creator economy that really, you know, is driven by the community as well. You know, and they vote on everything, and I think that's a hugely important aspect. You know, it's the blockchain. The whole people love the blockchain because it decentralizes power, and I think a lot of these you know, quick turnaround projects don't do that. They just take the money and run. You know, I think, you know, we did this because, you know, we wanted to give the creator community the power back and the ownership back, and people rights, and give them their rights back. So, you know, so many people have been in record deals. I have myself, where something happens within the label, you get shelved, you can't release anything, or you sell out 1 million records, and the record label takes 75% of the profit, and your manager takes 10%, and you're left with peanuts. So I mean, you know, it shouldn't be like that. It should be the artists and the musicians and the creators, you know, reaping the most of the reward, if not all of it. Really, it's their creations. They've been exploited for far too long, and that's why it just wasn't about dropping a JPEG for us. It had to be more. It wasn't, here's your JPEG and here's a roadmap. It was like, right from the gate, here is, you know, a musical asset that you're more than welcome to monetize. If you're a token holder, you're going to get access to the whole library of sounds and songs and stems, and you're more than welcome to, you know, blast that on any radio or movie and take the paycheck for it. That's the idea, you know, and they can add their own flavor to it, a guitar solo, a vocal. So I think overall it's just, you know, trying to drive, you know, also that collaboration and not sort of have all those rights taken by big companies and all that data stolen and reused, and fairness.
Yeah. Okay. Well, brilliant. Well, listen, that's I find it so inspirational, and I think you guys have your head so screwed on, and it's so reassuring for not just me, but for everyone that's going to be watching this as well. I suppose I wouldn't be doing my journalistic job if I didn't ask if there was anything exclusive that you might be able to tell us about what's coming up that we haven't already heard about, or if there's anything in the pipeline. No, lips are sealed. I can see you, Blake.
Well, I mean, this week we'll be doing a couple of announcements on Friday. One of them we'll be dropping our first producer pack, which is going to have, you know, 50 odd different samples and mashups. We'll be running a competition off the back of that. You know, first, second, third prize winners getting bohos, and also you know, doing live DJ sets in our Discord, which, you know, like I said, we want to take these guys and also get them on festival stages, you know, if they're talented and awesome. You know, we want to facilitate you know, making people's dreams come in reality. If they're, you know, collecting NFTs and they want to be a DJ at a festival, you know, we'd love to be able to make that happen. So I think, you know, the way we organically start that is with, you know, this first remix competition. It's going to go live Friday, which we're excited about. And look, I think, you know, who knows what could come out of that. Someone might write a top 20 hit, who knows? But you know, the first, second and third that we you know, we'll select amongst ourselves. We've got a couple of musicians and on the team. Jared, our developer, is also an avid musician. He's our Solidity contractor, writer pro. You know, he gets those airtight, but he's also a big passion for musicians. So and a musician. So we're going to, you know, get the team together, select the best 3 that we think, and then we'll let the community also have a listen as well and select their top 3 potentially, or their top 1. We're just getting down to the final logistics of it all now, but I mean, look, the idea is just to grow, obviously, this talent that's within our own community as well, and make their dreams come true, and if possible, or, you know, get them talking to other artists and collaborating. And it's early days, and it's a new model, but I really hope that you know, it just works across the board, and we just see a shift in the music industry and the arts industries and entertainment, where rights is going back to creators, and I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah. And what you've missed out of that is by saying that when one of your artists hits the top 10 or hits the top 3 or gets a number 1, you're going to come back and do another interview to talk about that success. Right?
We'd love to. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Listen, this has been a fantastic interview. I really appreciate it. Guys, I'm gonna make sure everything is tagged on our video, so that everyone knows exactly where to find you guys, exactly how to join the community, help it build and grow. Because I know there's loads of brilliant music lovers out there who probably didn't know that there is this future of music in NFTs, and now they do, which I'm so proud to be presenting to them. So thank you so much. Andy, Blake, you've both been brilliant. I've learned a hell of a lot. So thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure. Well, there you have it. The amazing Boho Bones. What a future they've got ahead of them. I'm so excited that at this early stage they were able to talk to me. Now, for full disclosure, they very kindly gifted me a Boho Bones NFT just for spreading the word for their community. But this was not a pre-paid promotion, so I just wanted to let you guys know that. I'm very grateful for the gift, and thank you guys so much. Also, the music that you're hearing as part of this video comes from Boho Bones as well, so make sure you definitely go and check them out. All of their details are in the description box below. But for now, don't forget to like this video. If you found it informative, please do share it with your friends. Don't forget to also subscribe to this channel. There's loads of great new videos coming your way as well. And of course, click that all-important notification bell and check me out on Twitter too. But for now, I'll see you next time.